Hello, my fellow light beings. I just don't know what to believe anymore. This is something I hear all the time, all around me, including from my own mouth. It's like a total mystery. People go like, what is going on? Who can I believe? I thought I could believe this person, and then this person said that thing about that person, and that makes sense. And then they change their mind, and then this is happening. Whoa. Very, very hard to know what we can believe in these days, isn't it? It's not like how it used to be, where, you read it in a newspaper, or you heard it on the news, or your friends told you, or whatever. And there was just no problem with it. It was like, okay, so you accepted it. And this is what we have done for a very long time. And we have not been using our own critical thinking or our own wisdom to measure it up with what is being told to us. And now we are in a place that is like so crazy. And, it's probably going to get a lot crazier. And I'm not trying to, like I said that last time too, I'm not trying to put fear out there. I'm just trying to kind of expose what's really going on and what is being told to us. That is what is causing a lot of fear and a lot of division, right? There's been so much misinformation and disinformation and whatever they call it. There's like new terms for these things. And then there's fact checkers, and then there's fact checkers checking fact checkers. Honestly, you cannot really trust anything right now except one thing. And I know you know what I'm going to say, and I'm going to say it anyway. The reason we're not trusting it is because we have been pulled out and away from ourselves. And we have been programmed. I mean, the bottom line is we have been lied to, we have been deceived, we have been programmed, and all this is happening up here in our little mental mind, our little computer that is just filled with all these programs. And we don't know what to believe now because they're all contradicting each other. So to me, this is really good. If you're saying to yourself, like, I just don't know what to believe anymore, it's like, great. Don't try and figure out what you can believe. I've been doing this myself for the past, let's say, 5 years when all this stuff happened, the lockdowns, and this person said this, and then they contradicted it. I spent a lot of time also trying to figure out what was actually true, what I could believe in, whom I could trust. And it's been a process for me. I think a lot of the process has been to really learn to kind of run it by my inner GPS or my inner wisdom uh, exposer, or the one that tells me if it's a yes or a no, or if it resonates with what's true in me. Again, it doesn't mean that it's true for you, but I have to go inside and kind of measure it up against my truth thermometer. And mine is pretty well tuned after so many years. And I make mistakes, absolutely. No perfection is required, but just to stay with it. So in the early days, I already started, like when the whole thing with the lockdowns and all that crazy stuff started. There was just something in me that was like, something is not right. Something is just not right. It doesn't measure up. It doesn't make sense. And when you feel like something is not making sense, please pay attention, because we have our true soul sense, and that is that true thermometer, that inner knowing, that one where you can kind of feel if there's resonance. And if it doesn't resonate, please trust that. That is you. That is your soul. That is your source connection. That is where you get the information from of what is actually not identified with the matrix that we're living in. I would say the biggest lie that we live in is that we are not connected to the divine, that we are separate from the divine, and we're out there trying to make it all work and survive and succeed. That is the biggest lie. And that is based on the core beliefs that we have. Though I would say one of the deepest one is like, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm not lovable. Those are all at the core. And that's what we are born into when we take birth here in this 3D dimension. So that's where it starts. So we literally are born into a lie, but we don't know it. We think it's true that we're separate, and we need to work hard in order to survive, and we need to do this, that, and the other. It's all a lie. When you compare it with the wisdom that comes from your soul, the soul that is pure love, pure fulfillment, pure everything, harmony, perfection, that does not measure up against that. And it's very hard. If this is new for you, I understand that it's hard to believe what I'm saying. So don't worry about it. If it doesn't resonate in here, feel free to just, find somewhere that does resonate with you. I'm not trying to convince anybody of what my experience is, but I do know that there are many who resonate with this, especially like, I don't know what to believe anymore. And it's crazy making, because we're used to have something we can hold on to, and then we can feel safe, or we can rest, or we know how to prepare. We know our next step. But when everything is up in the air like it is now, and it changes and it flips around and back and forth, we don't have anything to hold on to. And that's very, very scary for most people. And it is because we still live as if we are this separate sense of self, and that our survival and safety and security is dependent on what's going on in the world. And that's why the beliefs, not knowing what to believe anymore, that is a very existential threat for most people, because they don't have something deeper to rest in, where safety, security, fulfillment, that is at the core. That is what your soul is. There's nothing lacking there. So there's nothing to be afraid of, or there's nothing we need to believe in, other than just like get to know it better. So just to come back to the fact that we have been lied to right from the second we were born, unless you've been very lucky that you were born into a family where there is a deep sense of knowing and a deep God connection, where you know you can rest in that, and then that the outer does not move you around, like some of these what are they called, thumbleballs, or something that the wind just blows around. So that's the beginning. That's where it all starts. Now, because all of us are born into that, or let's say at least most of us, everybody is trying to create a world so we can feel safe. And a lot of people who have who are really, really disconnected, they are doing it through manipulation, lying, cheating, greed, all the things that we have all been exposed to. In my experience, those people are the least connected to the divine. And that's why they really have to like do all the things so they stay in control. So a lot of things that we have been exposed to over actually many, many years. It's not just the last 5 years. It's been many, many years. And it's been building a little bit upon each other where, in the beginning, it's like, oh, you don't think so much about it. It's just like, oh, that's how it is. And then there's a little more, and then there's a little more, and then there's a little more. And then you don't really think about it because it's just a little bit added to it all the time that it doesn't make you wonder, like, oh, that's weird. And now it's become such a big pile of lies and deception and programming. Many people are still fully identified with all of this. They believe everything that's being told in the news. Many other people, you may be one of them, is beginning to see like, what is this? This doesn't make sense, right? Really pay attention when you feel like this doesn't make sense. Pause. Don't try and make sense out of it out here. The five senses is your mind. Your mind is the programming, all the programs that have been put into us through television programming. It's called programming for a reason. We are being programmed through the news, the television, social media, ads, whatever, all of that. It's all programming because it's all happening here. And it causes us fear, it causes us division, it causes us distraction, right? Division and distraction, they're huge. They're huge. What we're longing for is unity and coming together and trust, peace. We're looking for something that we can lean into and rest back into. And that's very hard when we are being programmed all day long to be distracted and divided. And I've talked quite a bit about that specifically during the primaries. And because it's just crazy, over the top, how much division there is and how many people have become, are not friends anymore, even in families, because of the division where some believe this is true and others believe this is true. And then that causes division because there is no common ground anymore. So that's what's been going on, and it is continuing. So if you find yourself in a place where you are pointing fingers at others and believing that you are right and they're wrong, then you are literally in this whole ball of programming that has been building up, and you're believing it. You're inside of this thing, and it's all mind stuff. It has nothing to do with reality. And it is painful because this is not what we want. Nobody wants this. We all want to connect. We want to be unified. We want to have similar goals and dreams. But right now, we literally do not know what to believe in. So please do not try. Don't try and figure it out. I have been doing it for a long time, and I'm still listening to certain journalists that I do trust because it resonates in here. And if there's something that doesn't resonate, I'll feel it. I'll go, not sure if that's true. But I think the bottom line is that nobody really knows what is true out there right now because the whole thing is crumbling. So don't try and believe anything. be open, be curious, but let it run by here. Let your soul, let your soul give you some kind of a yes or no. Your soul sense. Let your sixth soul sense, sixth soul sense. Let that inform you by a feeling of aha, or something is off. Something is off. Or it's like, oh yeah, that I can feel here. That gives me a little bit of an expansion, or you feel that you're pulling back and contracting. So if you want to believe anything, maybe the invitation today is to believe your own wisdom and start trusting it, or at least be open to exploring it. Because if you have lived in this big pile of lies upon lies upon lies and programming, right? If you find yourself in there, you're going to be lost and you will not be able to get out of it because you're so attached to believing it's true or wanting it to be true. Let's say you've taken a position against somebody out in the world, a politician, for instance, and you've taken a strong position and you have done a lot of, maybe sharing a lot on social media and telling your friends that you're right and they're wrong. So you've put a lot of effort into being right. Then it can be very difficult to turn that around and go like, oops, I think I was wrong. That can be very hard if you have a very strong sense of needing to be right. And if it feels too embarrassing to admit that you made a mistake, which is all part of this thing, by the way. When you're out of this, you go like, oh, what I said yesterday? It's not true. I really believed it was true, but I realized today that that's actually not true because you're not in here. You're not invested in being right. You can just let it go and then stay open to what is true. And it changes a lot, right? It's like, oh, you move here and it's like, oops, now it's going here. Oops, it's going here. So it's learning to follow the flow, the unfoldment of the flow, and get familiar with it. And it's not out here. It is all in here. I've talked about you need to learn to surf your own wave home, not somebody else's, but your own. And so it's an inner process where you need to stay true to what is true for you. It's like, oh no, that's not true for me. And then your friends may go say like, what do you mean it's not true? So and so says this and so says that. So you don't need to make them wrong. You just go like, no, that's not my truth. I can't feel it. I've said that a lot for years. Like, no, I don't resonate with that. And that's basically the end of the story for me because it's not resonating here. So I don't engage. And sometimes that can cause a little bit of a problem with your friends, because they want to be right and they want to argue about it. But it's like, no, you go. It's not true for me. So that's what I want to invite you to do. And when I talk about that we've been lied to and deceived, and so much has been put on us that is not true, it's not a small task, what I'm sharing here. It's not a small task to start facing that. I mean, it's huge. I've been doing this, gosh, for over 20 years. Many years ago, I started noticing that some things were not right. And I didn't talk much about it because I didn't know it was true, right? I didn't have much confirmation. But then suddenly there was some confirmation, and then I knew I wasn't crazy. So it's also learning to trust this. But there's so many more people out there who know what's going on, who are waking up to that. And that's why it's much easier to be confirmed in that. But don't put your confirmation out there on others. Always run it through here. That is a practice. And it's a practice that we all need to have every day to tune in and connect with what is true. This connection, if we do that daily, I do it a lot. It's almost second nature, not fully, but it's kind of my resting place. So when something happens out there, I'm already here and I'm already knowing it's like something is not quite right. It's like, it's this surfing my own surfboard, my own wave home. So the more we're on that wave from the inside, then we don't get pushed around so much. Doesn't mean bad things or difficult challenges can't happen, because they do, but they don't bounce us around as much as if we're still in this ball of programming where we literally keep believing that somebody out there knows better than us. And in the long run, they don't. There might be things that can be very helpful to hear. Maybe my video today will be helpful for some people because there's resonance. I think feeling like, oh yeah, I'm not crazy, that's what a confirmation can do. It can help us drop deeper into ourselves so we can start trusting ourselves even more. So confirmations, I think, are very, very important. They have been in my life for sure. So I want to just offer that to you in case that feels good. And I would say if you need help with this, and we all do, I don't know anybody who's walked this whole path on their own without a teacher, without a therapist, without a coach, without a healer, without a shaman, without a best friend, a wise friend. I don't know anybody. To walk it on your own is very, very challenging. So I invite you to reach out if you need somebody to help you get in touch with what is true for you so you can start trusting that. So it doesn't throw you all the time. If somebody else says something different, you can feel more and more solid in here. And I would say that is what the world needs, is some solid presence, some solid light that can move through the darkness, without turning off the light. It's like, no, we keep shining it from inside. And then people will be touched where they will feel the light, not because we're doing anything, but because we're being it. And people will notice that. And that is at least what I'm here for. I don't know what you're here for, but that's something you can explore with yourself. And also this coming Tuesday, February 4th, I'm offering my online gathering called Feel Your Deepest Longing, Find Your Spiritual Calling. And that is something I just offer once a month, and I will put the link below if you want to check that out. Be well.